You can't take a step here without running into an ancient ruin, a spectacular monument, a breathtaking view, or a recognizable Italian fashion brand. We are exploring the Eternal City on this episode of Ms. World Traveler in Rome. Hi, friends. I'm Ms. World Traveler Kerry Damiano, inviting you on an adventure to discover style, design, fashion, art, and antiques in great shopping destinations across the country and around the world. Come with me.
You've heard it said that all roads lead to Rome, and there is an actual reason for it. At the height of the ancient Roman Empire, they constructed more than 250,000 miles of roads to connect the furthermost regions of the realm, cementing their place in history as master road builders. The first of its kind and the wonder of its day in 312 BC, the Appian Way was the precursor to a superhighway, and because of its excellent and advanced engineering, you can still walk on it today.
Over the course of the next few segments, we'll be seeing some of the other Roman engineering marvels. But for now, let's get an overview of the shopping scene, starting with the area around the Spanish Steps.
A particularly photogenic landmark, the 138 stairs of the Spanish Steps were financed by a Frenchman in 1725 and now enjoys the reputation for being a prime people-watching attraction and the jumping-off point for designer shopping. All the big names have their stores here along the Via Condotti and the Via Corso, and these, of course, are the busiest and the priciest blocks in town.
But it is on the small, winding streets where you will find independent, locally owned, and artisan stores that truly make Rome a maze of hidden gems like Cameo Italiano.
Founded by the Luca family in 1957, Cameo Italiano seeks to preserve the archival craftsmanship of shell-based engravings with new interpretations for a new generation.
Well, Gino, I'm so excited to have you here because you are a member of the De Luca family, right? And this has been your family business.
I'm a third generation, and this is a business that goes back 225 years in our town. So even cameos have been with us for centuries. They were carved on stones like agates, semi-precious stones. But it's only 225 years ago that someone found out that using a shell coming from the sea, and that happened in our town, it could be carved and you could create cameo out of these shells. Our town is in the Gulf of Naples, right at the feet of the Mount Vesuvio, nearby the Pompeii and Herculaneum.
Okay, so that's down in the boot, right? Down in the boot part, okay.
Exactly, and it's the only place in the world where cameos are hand carved on seashells.
Really?
And that's been going on for 225 years.
Wow.
We are just planted there.
Yeah. So how did your family specifically get involved in this?
Well, my grandfather was actually in the shell business because shells don't come from the sea in front of us, but they're coming from, this one is coming from Africa. and this one is coming from Central America, like Bahamas, Honduras, and so there was a business around the district.
Okay.
And my grandfather was coming from there. But the sweet part is that my father and my mother, they were both cameo carvers. And that's
Really?
how they met. That's how they met.
That's how they met. Oh, I love a good love story.
So when they met, they decided to create their own firm, their own company. And I was behind the corner, and that was accomplished. Their first business was accomplished just on the day I was born.
Really?
Yes.
So it's been around for like 35 years.
Well, if you want to count in my childhood, it's going to be 20 years.
So tell me a little bit about how the shell is carved.
Well, it's very simple.
Okay.
The shell.
You say it's simple. I don't think it's really simple.
All I have here is just a fake sample, because the real one is exactly like this, but it's very, very sharp. And these are called bulino, and we have many of this. And each one has a different shape and different contour, because we do everything by hands. Because you can see a full shell is like this. Then we take a cap from the top of the shell. So this is where we study the shell when it's open and decide where to place what. And the shell is a natural 2 layers. You can see we have an outside layer which is white. We have an inner layer that is brown or orange in this case. And just by carving on the back, the outside layer, bit by bit, you actually unveil what is going to be the design of our craftsmen.
Wow. And do they draw it on there first, or?
Yes, they first draw by interpreting the shape of the piece. This is telling us something. Each one piece is different.
Right. And so out of the same shell, you could get several different pieces depending on where, right?
Exactly.
You'd get a different style of piece here than you would over here.
Exactly, and then also you have to study the integrity of the layer that we work with outside, because this is very clean throughout, so you can almost use it all. But most of the time, shells are coming from the sea, so you don't know. You may have had worms that eat out the shell in the sea. So this is telling us one thing: shells and cameo on seashells cannot be done by machines. Each one shell is different. Each one shell has a different shape.
Well, how long do you have to study to be able to do this? Or is it kind of learn as you go? You apprentice, you learn it?
No, it's a hybrid training. So you go to school. I mean, we have a special school in Torre del Greco. Actually, we have 2. And when you are a kid and you decide I wanna do cameos as my main job, you start your course and your education is taken at school. And the school is actually teaching you all the aspects of carving, of sculpture, and that's the high school. That is a high school. Then you can. The next step is you go to Napoli and you study classic architecture, and then you are formally ready to be a carver. But the main part is that along the way of this training, you will go each day. Whenever you have a space and whenever you have a time, you go to the studio of an artisan, sit next to him, and you exchange. He will teach you secrets and how to deal with the shells.
The whole apprenticing.
Yes.
Where you learn from a master.
And the apprentice actually will help the master produce more pieces, because he will be doing some of the simple part of the job until he's on his own.
Wow, that's amazing. But show us some of the finished product. What does it look like when you are done?
That is the interesting story about our brand. Because you might have come across many people who don't know what cameo is, or if they know, they link it to the idea of the grandmother.
That's right.
So we decided one day we want to design a jewelry which is contemporary. So the process is the same. No machine, no technology. The technology didn't advance here. We are using the same kind of tools and system that was used 225 years ago.
And this is very high tech. I'm teasing you.
I call it's an analog.
That's right, an analog tool, but it works.
It does.
And so why change it, right?
Let's look, for example, at this ring. Apparently, this ring is just a lady portrait that we have seen many in the past. But if you look more carefully, one of the signs that this ring is contemporary, is that you probably never seen a ring this bulky, this big in the past. Normally the rings are very small with small cameos on the top. So we are making it more contemporary by changing the shapes. We don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. When we say we want to do a contemporary cameos, we don't just try to approach it completely different way, just from a different perspective, different angle. We think a little bit across the box, and then we come up with something which is contemporary.
Well, someone was telling me earlier how you have different kinds of shells that give you like a different background color. So some is a little bit more brown, some is a little bit more orangey.
Yes, the shells, the kinds that come from here, probably you have seen many around, are from the orange shell, from the African shell. Okay. But even within the same type of shell, which we call the southern shells that we have here, they, piece by piece, you have a different background hue. So it's not one piece, it's just like another one. So when you buy a shell cameo, you buy a unique piece. Maybe the next, even if you compare the two sides of an earring,
right? They're different.
Different.
Yes, they're different. Absolutely.
There will be very small differences.
Okay, so you were telling me about this piece, which is really incredible.
This is an exercise in imagination, design, skill, and it's a collective piece. So you have a big piece of shell. This is the orange shell coming from Africa, which is this shell. And our artisan actually, he carved all around every single detail. And his story was the story of a clown, a circus clown. And so he imagines his life. So you can see even a veil of sadness on the face of the beloved. And you can, there's a lot of inspiration. So what is in the mind of our artisans? This is something that they have learned over the years. If you ask this artisan, please explain me why you came up with this design, he cannot tell you. He just knows this, it's in his blood, it's in his mind. So he takes a piece of shell and he starts working with it. And he transports that into a beautiful piece of art. And so,
well, I couldn't get out of the store without buying something, right? I mean, I have to contribute to the tradition of cameos, right? And where else am I going to find something so beautiful, so unique, so handmade? I'm just very excited to see the watch that I purchased from you, that you were going to take away, put a black band on it, and bring it back.
So you say, and you just actually came to a piece which is very unique. Have you ever seen a cameo matched to a watch? That is beautiful.
It's beautiful, isn't
Italian leather, Italian-made shell cameo, Swiss-made movement.
Will you do the honors?
Yes, with great pleasure. Perfect.
How do I look? Isn't that a beautiful piece? I'm so excited. Thank you so much. And thank you for doing the special band for me. I really appreciate it. And it goes with my outfit, so.
It's perfect.
It is.
For 3 generations, the De Luca family has kept the art of the cameo alive, and with traditional techniques has brought it into contemporary style.
We're embracing La Dolce Vita, the sweet life, by combining Roman history, culture, and cuisine with great shopping. And I've got more of that very thing coming up on the next segment of Ms. World Traveler in Rome. You won't want to miss it.